Pawcast. I'm your host, Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and we appreciate you joining us here today at the Campus for All Animals, the Houston SPCA. So today we are going to talk about all things related to grooming. It's summertime. We want to look cute. We want our pets to look cute. So we're going to help give you some tips and tricks to help keep your pets nice and groomed and looking their best this summer. And please make plans to come on down this weekend, next week, anytime in the near future to visit our campus. Our adoption center is always welcoming to families to come in and take a look at the dogs and the cats and the puppies and the kittens and the guinea pigs and the rabbits and all the animals available for adoption. So I do want to introduce you to a wonderful pet that we have available for adoption today. His name is Bubba. And Bubba is approximately a 2-year-old neutered male. He's a shepherd mix, and he is looking for his forever home. Now, Bubba is a wonderful dog. He's active, he's playful, he loves to play with toys, and he's really good with people. Bubba is one of the dogs that we have here that is what we call heartworm positive. So Bubba has heartworm disease. And when you come visit with Bubba, our staff can tell you all about heartworm disease, which is completely treatable, and Bubba can live a long, happy, healthy life with you and your family. So come on down and visit with him and all of the other pets that we have available. So start thinking about questions that you have regarding all things grooming for your pets this summer, because I want to get started. We get lots of questions about grooming related to pets. And so I'll just start with some of the most common questions while we let Bubba hang out and play here and wait for you to come on down and visit with him. So one of the frequent things that we get, especially when it's summer and it gets hot, is about grooming your pet's hair coat. There's lots of questions around whether or not you should completely shave your pet. Do you just need to brush your pet? What kind of coat care is most important? Let me start with shaving, with haircuts, because it's hot. And typically in those southern states, in those states where it gets hot, look at this. This is Molly. This is Molly. I have to introduce you to Molly here. She's so sweet. So typically when we are talking about hot environments, we oftentimes think that the first thing we need to do is to shave our pet, but we don't necessarily want to shave every pet that we have because sometimes shaving the coat, if we shave the coat too short, what winds up happening is the sun directly hits the pet's skin, and it can actually cause sunburn and more irritation. So sometimes that hair coat can be protective. You can talk to your veterinarian and your preferred groomer about what length of coat is appropriate for your pet. So shaving may not be appropriate, but a nice kind of medium to short summer cut might still be just fine and safe for your pet. Are there any questions to start with?
Yeah, so somebody's asking, what does it mean when a dog is double coated?
Yes, so some breeds have what we call double coats. That means that they have one coat of hair or fur that sits close to the skin and it's shorter. And then they have an outer coat that tends to be longer. Well, that undercoat tends to work to help keep the pet warm in the winter, but it also can help keep the pet cool during the summer. So the most common double-coated breed that we see frequently is the Husky, for example. The Husky is a double-coated breed, and they tend to be kind of snow breeds. And so when it's hot, you might see that Huskies shed their undercoat more. And when it's cold, though, that undercoat can help to keep the warm air closer to their body.
Somebody asked, I have a lab with short hair. Do I still need to take them to the groomers and have them give them a bath?
If you have a pet with short hair, you might think, oh, why do they need to go to the groomer? But dogs with short hair still need proper coat care. So giving them a bath regularly, that can be done by yourself at home, but a groomer can also do that quick and easily for you. But also giving that pet a good brushing out. So if you have a dog with a short hair coat, brushing them regularly is still important. They will still shed. And so getting that extra fur off of them can help keep their coat overall healthy. So please talk to your veterinarian and your local groomer and see how frequently you need to take them in.
Somebody on Instagram, Tats and Cats, asks, how often should you bathe your dog then?
Yes, how often should you bathe your dog? This varies. So it may depend. If your dog is healthy and has no medical problems or skin issues, typically bathing your dog not more frequently than once or twice a month is all you need to do. So that may be once every 2 weeks to once every 4 weeks. This should be good enough to keep the allergens off your pet's coat, dirt and debris off your pet's coat. However, it could be more frequent if you are, hiking, your dog's in and out of lakes or playing in the mud. Certainly more frequent baths can be necessary. Always talk to your family veterinarian, however, because too frequent baths can actually dry out the skin coat and cause more problems than necessary.
What type of shampoo or conditioner should we use?
There are so many different types of shampoos and conditioners on the market. And I would say start with your veterinarian giving you recommendations. But typically you can go to your local pet store and sometimes even your veterinary clinic and get products that are approved for use in dogs and cats and that are typically safe to bathe them in regularly. It is possible that if you use a shampoo for humans, it could actually cause terrible skin irritation in your pet. So please avoid using shampoos and conditioners that are approved for use in humans and stick to ones that are approved for use in dogs and cats.
So then a dog can get an allergic reaction from different shampoos. What are the signs to look for?
Sure. If you are using a shampoo on your dog or cat and you notice that the skin begins to look red, irritated, maybe your pet becomes very itchy and uncomfortable, this could mean that they are having an adverse reaction to whatever is in that particular shampoo and conditioner. And it could be any of the ingredients there. So if you notice that happening, please contact your family veterinarian right away. They can prescribe medication that can help calm down the skin and the itchiness and the irritation, and we can move forward from there.
The question is, I brush my dog daily, but they keep getting mats. What type of brush should I be using?
Yes, if you have a dog that gets matted really quickly, I understand your pain. I have a dog who I named Maddie because she used to get so many mats. So regular brushing. So dogs that tend to get mats are those that have long hair, particularly if it's long and sort of thin and wiry. That hair is, they're laying down a lot, or they're sitting down a lot. Sometimes those areas that are being laid on tend to mat very easily. So you want to make sure that dogs get brushed regularly. So there are several different types of brushes out there. So one of the ones that's probably good for almost all coat types is this sort of brush. It has these wire bristles. And sometimes these bristles are not wire. Sometimes they're plastic. And sometimes they have a little plastic coating along the top. And so this is a good brush for most hair coat types. And it can help get rid of those mats there. So, if this is a wire brush, you can certainly get a brush. Hi, what am I doing? You can certainly get a brush that has plastic bristles there, and some of those are coated with a plastic coating, so it'll be less irritating to the skin. But this can certainly help with some of those mats. But really, it's just a matter of daily grooming, being consistent, and keeping your pet used to getting brushed on a daily basis.
Somebody's dog is kind of scared of groomers. How can they prepare them for their visit?
So going to the groomer can be scary for any dog. So you can, if it's really difficult to get them to get used to the groomer, you may have to start very slow. And that means regular trips to the groomer just for fun. And maybe they go to the groomer without getting groomed at all. So that could mean driving to the grooming facility, going in, talking to the staff, and getting them to help your pet get used to the area. They can maybe give your pet treats and make the environment fun, and then your pet gets to go home. And there's maybe no grooming that occurs at all. And after you do that a few times, that can sometimes stop the initial anxiety that your pet gets by going to the groomer. But usually veterinarians and groomers can give you more tips about what might need to happen at the groomer to keep your pet safe. For example, if you have a pet that is aggressive and really is resistant to handling, your veterinarian may require or recommend that you give a sedative or medication that helps to calm your pet prior to going to the groomer. It'll take the edge off of your pet, and it'll make the groomer's job much easier.
If I have a new puppy that's not old enough to go to the groomers yet, what can I do in the meantime to make sure they have a good experience?
If your pet is too young to go to the groomer, you can do things right now to help them get used to the groomer. So that means playing with their paws, for example, and being very gentle. So if your puppy is young, it's a good idea to start just giving gentle pets on their paws, looking at their toenails, and getting them used to touching the paws. That way, when the groomer has to trim around the toes or do a toenail trim, your pet is already used to having his or her paws touched. Another thing that you can do is look at the ears. So making sure that you pet your pet's ears gently and that you lift up the ear pinup, the ear flaps, and look inside them. That can get your pet used to handling. And then gentle pets all along your body, along their body, to look for mats and evidence of cuts or scrapes can also be very helpful as well. As you can see, as I'm doing this with Molly, we're giving her treats. And so that helps her to stay distracted and also maybe associate some of this petting with treats and positivity.
So one thing is helping our puppies, get comfortable. Some, parents, have heard like stories about different groomers and all kinds of horror stories. How can we make sure we're picking the right groomer for our pet?
Yes, picking the right groomer for your pet. So go to your local groomer, a groomer that you're interested in, and visit with them. You can talk to them about their process. You can talk to them about how much experience they have. And you can get to know them so that you can have a one-on-one relationship with the person that's going to be grooming your pet, and they may be able to visit with your pet and get to know your pet and their personality, and you created a relationship. Another good thing that you can do is word of mouth. So if you know someone that has a groomer that they love, that might be a good place to start too, because if you have a trusted friend or family member that takes their pet to a groomer regularly, that might be a good place to start because you know someone who goes there.
Somebody asked, my dog is recovering from a skin condition. What can I do to speed up the hair growth?
If your pet is recovering from a skin condition, sometimes they have been to the veterinarian and maybe the veterinarian has shaved them in a particular area to clean or treat a wound or skin condition. So now you're waiting for that hair to grow back, and it can grow back sometimes very slowly, and sometimes the skin in that area could be dry or have an abnormal look to it. Talk to your veterinarian about what's appropriate for that area, because if it was already diseased or there was already a wound there, you may want to be careful about what you put on that skin in the future. But typically, over-the-counter shampoos that are oatmeal based and don't have any medication in them are typically appropriate to keep the skin clean and keep some of that crustiness off that area.
So why is someone's dog licking their paw so much? What could be one of the reasons?
Yes, part of grooming you might notice is that some pets scratch a lot and or lick their paws a lot. Pets that lick their paws a lot could actually have an underlying medical condition related to allergies. So food allergies and environmental allergies can sometimes present as a skin and ear infections and irritation. And that can mean that they lick their paws a lot. So one thing that you can do is talk to your family veterinarian about ruling those diseases out. But while you're waiting for that to happen, when your pet comes in from outside, you can go to your local pet store and you can get wipes to keep your pet's paws clean so that when they come in from playing in the grass or the mud, that we keep their paws nice and clean and that we don't have all those allergens and dirt sitting on the paws that makes them want to lick more.
So how often should we clip our dog's nails?
So clipping your dog's toenails. This is something that people ask a lot about. And there's a couple stages to it. So if your pet is young, you do want to get them, again, first used to just handling the paws, touching the paws, and getting them used to this. Molly's very good. She's licking me and giving me kisses while I pet her paws. That's a really good sign. And what we like to do is if you look here on Molly's toenails here, some pets have pigmented toenails, and those toenails are black or dark brown. And then other pets have toenails that are clear or white. And the clear or white toenails are often easier to trim. And the reason is there is actually a blood vessel that runs down the center of the toenails. And you want to make sure that you do not cut the nails so short that you cause your pet to bleed. If you do, you can contact your family veterinarian and take them in for a checkup. But it's hard to see on Molly. But typically, when the nails get too long, there will be a nail that is thin and clear and doesn't have the blood vessel running through it. And that's an indication that that part of the nail can be trimmed. You don't want to trim the nail so far back where it's thick. So these nails have just been freshly trimmed. All of the nail that's left here actually has a blood supply in there. You don't want to trim this thick part of the nail. You only want to trim the very, very tip where it's thin and there's no blood vessel running through there. So this might be something that one of your veterinary technicians or veterinary nurses at your local veterinary hospital can work to show you how to do. So it varies how frequently you trim the toenails, because some dogs may need it done every 2 or 3 weeks. Some may need it done more or less frequently. But if you have a relationship with your groomer, they often will do this for you while your pet is there getting a bath and a haircut. So you don't have to worry about it at all.
So in regards to like routine cleaning, how often should we clean our dog's ears as well?
Yeah, so the ears are a self-cleaning organ, and generally you don't have to clean your pet's ears regularly. Times where I would recommend that you do it is if your pet is swimming a lot. Maybe they're going into lakes and rivers and they're just kind of going outdoors a lot. You want to make sure that the ear canals stay dry. So you may want to take some cotton balls and wipe those ears out, or a dry towel and wipe those ears out. You want to keep the ear canals dry so that they are not prone to infection. But in general, you should not have to clean your pet's ears out regularly. If you take your pet to the groomer periodically, maybe every month to 6 weeks, they're going to check and see if there's any discharge that needs to be wiped out. What you're looking for is kind of what we have, which is brown ear wax. It's normal for dogs to have a little bit of brown ear wax. And again, typically that moves out on its own. But if you notice that when you open the ear, that when you look inside the ear, there's lots and lots of brown waxy buildup, Molly has just a tiny little bit, then that might be indicative that an ear cleaning is necessary.
All right. And then how can we help our pets get smoother hair? Or does that mean, they're healthier? Or is that more of a myth?
So you want your pet to have a healthy coat, and generally a healthy coat can look very differently on lots of breeds. So some breeds have smooth coats, some have curly coats like Molly here, some have kind of wiry coats that tend to look drier than others. So it may depend on the breed. In terms of what it looks like, but we always want the coat to be nice and full. We don't want to have areas of hair loss, and we don't want our pets to be itchy, and we overall want the coat to be nice and shiny. So a shiny coat can be a really good indication that your pet is in good health. So what can you do to get your pet a shiny coat? One, proper diet. Make sure you're talking with your veterinarian about proper diet. To make sure that has all the appropriate nutrients for a healthy, shiny coat. You can also make sure that if your pet has a dry coat, you can talk to your veterinarian about supplementing omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids. So these types of nutrients can actually help promote a healthy, shiny coat. And that might be something to try.
So what type of coat does Bubba have?
So Bubba, typically these breeds, sometimes shepherd type breeds have like a double coat. And so his is really thick and he may have some shedding. So what we probably recommend is for dogs that have a thick undercoat, you can get an undercoat brush like we see here. This is for dogs that have a thicker undercoat. It's like a rake that will help to get all of that undercoat that wants to shed. It'll just sort of help it shed a little bit. And then once you use the rake, you can always use, a brush like this or one of those hand tight brushes to kind of get the loose hair off the top. And so Bubba here has kind of a thicker coat with an undercoat. And so he might be a dog that needs regular brushing to help get that undercoat out.
And so someone wants to know about cats. Do cats need baths and regular grooming as well?
Well, that is a great question. So those of you who have cats and have tried to give your cat a bath, you know why I'm hesitating with that one. Cats don't tend to love baths, and they don't regularly need bathing. Cats groom themselves a lot, and they tend to do the job for us. What I would recommend though is if your cat has gotten into something, maybe they've been outdoors, they've gotten soiled in some way, or maybe they're a long-haired cat and they've been outside and they've gotten something tangled in their coat, then I would say absolutely they may need to be bathed and or shaved a little bit. But in general, cats do not need regular bathing.
So if since cats do or the grooming themselves, does that mean that their hair balls is that they're over grooming, or is that healthy?
So cats do a lot of grooming, and so they often will ingest the hair that they lick off of themselves, which can create what we call hair balls. You might notice if your cat has a hairball because it'll look like they're trying to hack something up. They sort of kind of do this thing where they look like they're sort of hacking something up. And that could be that they're trying to hack up a hairball. And that happens occasionally. It's not uncommon. Something that you can do to help your cat pass that hairball is, again, speaking to your local veterinarian about whether or not it's appropriate to go to your local pet store and get what we call hairball remedy. Hairball remedy is a little paste that you can feed your cat, and it helps to digest the hair and get them to pass it with no problem at all. So that might be a good solution if your cat has a hairball.
So then if the cat is gagging but isn't producing hairballs, that can mean it's stuck and won't need a solution like that?
Oh, sure. If your cat is gagging a lot and nothing seems to be coming out, sometimes we wonder if they need a little help passing that. So that could be true that you need a little bit of hairball remedy to help them get that out. But again, contact your veterinarian because sometimes the hacking or the gagging could be related to true vomiting as well. And so you may need to differentiate whether this kind of retching is trying to hack up a hairball or whether it's related to vomiting. Well, we have discussed so many things here. Remember, there's lots of things that you can do to keep your pet's coat healthy. I will recap here, and that means making sure that you talk to your family veterinarian and maybe your local groomer that you trust about how frequently you should bathe your pet and trim his or her nails and clean out the ears. That might mean also making sure that you discuss how short, if at all, you should trim your pet's coat this summer. And then talking about all the different variety of shampoos and conditioners out there that can keep them healthy. And remember, you always want to make sure that your pet is on regular flea and tick prevention. Fleas and ticks can actually cause a lot of itching and a lot of damage to the skin. That's really easily treated, but you got to keep your pets on flea and tick prevention year round, and that can help keep their coat wonderful and shiny as well. Bubba is having a great time, and he is waiting for you to come visit him here at our adoption center. So please come on down, make a weekend of it. We can't wait to see you. There's no appointment necessary. So we'll see you this weekend, and if not, I will see you next Friday on the Pet Podcast. Thanks for joining us.